Okay, thank you. Thank you. We are recording now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the I Take the Lead networking webinar. And today we get to hear from Mrs. Ronnie Noize, Ms. Ronnie Noize. She actually is the founder of DIY Marketing Center. And she's going to be sharing her story. I consider this her signature presentation. I heard it many years ago. I've heard it several times. I never get tired of it, and it's powerful. Before we hear from Ronnie, who's going to be sharing that, I wanted to make sure we introduce a couple people. Lynn, will you kind of raise your hand and say hi? Lynn Gray.
Hello.
Longtime member of I Take the Lead. He belongs to actually 3 of our Portland area business-to-business groups. And then Clint, I'm going to unmute you or unmute yourself. Everybody should be muted, except right now, me, Ronnie, Clint, and Lynn. And then once Ronnie gets talking, we'll kind of go in and out. But it just helps with the noise factor. And then Alan Pershing, he doesn't have his picture there, but you can see his name, and he's the membership director for Colorado. I Take the Lead. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I see a lot of members on here, so thank you. It's exciting. Some past members today, and we're glad to have you all here. First, before we hear from Ronnie, I asked Clint to just tell us. He's a membership coordinator in Vancouver, Washington for I Take the Lead. He oversees 4 of our groups over there, I believe. He's a membership coordinator, but he's also a mortgage lender with Landmark Professional Mortgage, isn't it, Clint?
Yeah.
So Clint was going to just share a little bit about what there's Alan.
Sorry, I just figured it out.
Oh, good, we get to see you. Clint's going to share what he likes. I asked him specifically to share a little bit about I Take the Lead. He's introducing I Take the Lead for us today. So Clint, you take it over.
Hi guys, hope you're all having a good afternoon. I have been with I Take the Lead for about 4.5, 5 years, something like that. This is the only networking referral group that I've ever been in for a long period of time, because quite honestly, it's the only one that has ever actually worked. And I have a theory for why that is. This networking group with I Take the Lead, it's a lot more user-friendly and less regimented than some of the other groups. And because we are intentionally keeping it small, and we're going to have 8 to 10 people on an average size group, that makes it easier for us to really get to know each other. I'm sure we've all been to the big meetings where you go to a chamber meeting or network after work or something where there's hundreds of people. That's hard to connect like that, and especially in an industry like the housing market, people don't go spend $300,000 or $400,000 with somebody that they got a postcard from, or that has a new website or whatever. You can be as good as you want to at your job. You could be the expert. But if you don't have people that are saying, wow, he did a fabulous job for me, or you wouldn't believe how good this person is over here, this is what they did, they went out of their way for me, it's hard to get the trust that's needed on something like that. It's hard to get even your foot in the door without having somebody that can say, look, I've known him, I like him, I've worked with him, this is what happened when he helped me with my transaction, or this is how somebody did a really good job that was above and beyond what you could get. One person that comes to mind is her name's Jody. She's in the Battleground group. She's a graphic designer, and she helped me with my business cards. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you compare that to what you get with a company like Vistaprint, for example, it's night and day. It's not at all the same thing. Or even my own experience in-house trying to get, my office, the people that do that stuff, the difference was night and day. So you kind of get that type of level of service when you're working with I Take the Lead that you don't necessarily get when you are one of 24 that meets in a big room and you get 30 seconds to say what you do. And I mean, that's why we do the presentation. That's why we get that 10-minute presentation and the Q&A following that, because we want everybody to have a good idea of not only who we are and what we do, but how to refer to us. Nobody needs to know how to be a loan officer. That's my job. What I'm supposed to be doing as part of my I Take the Lead membership is training everybody else that's at my meeting on how to effectively refer to me. And that's something that we do a really good job of at I Take the Lead, that other organizations, I'm not saying they do a bad job. I'm just saying by just sheer numbers and the way that their process is set up that they can't do it that way. If you make the concerted effort to set up one-on-one meetings outside of the meeting, that's great. And we heavily promote that. That's something that the membership coordinators are constantly saying, you know, this is a key requirement for success in I Take the Lead, or any referral relationship for that matter. But if you go to a meeting and there's 70 or 80 or 100 people there, it's sometimes hard to even get that coffee appointment. It's sometimes hard to even get the 10 or 15 or 20 minutes that it takes to find out exactly what is it about your business that is a benefit to the people that I know. Because if I'm going to refer somebody to one of my partners and I Take the Lead, I kind of need to know about their business. And there's only so much that you can get out of a 30 or 60-second commercial. You know, when you talk to Ronnie, you take her class, she tells you that you don't go into exhaustive detail. Resist the urge to say too much in that 30-second intro. That's what the weekly meeting's for. That's where the repetition comes in. That's where your opportunity to present really gives you a chance to go into a lot more detail about your competitive strengths and what you do better than everybody else. And if you're equal, then why should we choose you? Well, let me tell you why. You'll know it's time to refer when you hear people say. And this becomes repetition. This becomes second nature when you're routinely attending your meetings and when you're setting up one-on-one meetings with the other people in your group, and when you are making an effort to not just show up and get referrals, but how can I send you a referral? How can I introduce you to a power partner that might be many referrals? Just a whole different thought process, as opposed to let's get as many members as we can and let's tell you that you need to pass this many leads or else, versus let's get together and let's really get to know each other's business. Let's figure out what type of referral you're looking for, and then let's make sure that it actually results in referrals, because we're meeting on a regular basis to check in with what's new, how are things going, what's changed from last time, and most importantly, what can I do, what can I be paying attention to? Sometimes those things change. I can tell you that, you know, over the years I've heard different people say different things, you know, not necessarily on like a weekly or even a monthly basis. But when a realtor says, this is the type of person I'm looking for, you know, people in this area or whatever, well, down the road, maybe they're looking for people that are relocating or first-time home buyers or whatever. You kind of need to keep a constant tab on what's going on in your teammates' businesses, so that when you hear a friend or a coworker or a neighbor or whoever say something that you just heard them say last week in their presentation, cool, that's my cue to make an introduction. So I have nothing but positive things to say about I Take the Lead. It's been very good to me, and it's been very good to the people that take an active leadership role and attend the meetings on a regular basis and really try to serve others more so than serving themselves.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Clint. I appreciate that. So we appreciate that. And so with that, we are going to have Ronnie teach us how to network, how she networked, how she built her business from zero. And I'll let her tell you her story, but it's powerful. I'm always amazed at the information and the tips and the skill that Ronnie has when it comes to, well, to networking and everything else, but especially to networking as a marketing coach. So Ronnie, thanks Clint again. And I am going to mute you, Lynn. Feel free to unmute yourself, or, you know, when Ronnie asks us questions, or we give feedback, feel free to unmute yourself. Hopefully you could do that. I'm going to mute myself as well. So
Okay.
Ronnie? Okay, thank you.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
Okay. So, let me get this started. Okay. So it's me. Just a sec. I'm trying to figure out how to make this happen. There we go. All righty. So hi, I'm Ronnie Noize. And today we're going to talk about how I built my business with networking. But you know what I should probably say is, oh my gosh, now this is not moving. Okay, I got the wrong
Oh, it
thing.
is moving. It's moving.
Okay, yeah, so I'm moving it, yeah. So I want to talk to you about how to build your business with networking, and also, or maybe I should call this how I made networking my endless referral generating machine, because that is really what happened. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what is networking? You know, a lot of times Becky's blog is networking is not selling, but a lot of folks out there are thinking that networking is repeatedly asking people if they're ready to buy. And that is not. That's pestering, not networking. Networking is connecting to serve, share, and support. This is a give to get sort of model. And what's really cool is that the more you give, and you don't have to be giving your services for free. As Clint was saying, you can be giving referrals, you can be giving introductions, you can be even giving advice or moral support, or even sometimes just a thumbs up and a smile is enough to create a relationship that can result in a huge number of referrals to you. So let's talk a little bit about the worst networking mistake ever. You know, in a word, it is confusing networking with sales. So networking is not a transactional activity. It is a relationship building activity. I remember one time I gave somebody my business card, and she asked me if I'd ever heard of, and you know, we introduced ourselves, and she told me that she worked for a cosmetic company, one that only used direct sales reps, and asked me if I'd heard of it. And I, thinking how cool this was, we could be friends, because not only had I heard of it, that I'm actually a user. So when I told her that, she changed instantly. And then she challenged me. Oh yeah, she says, who's your rep? How crazy is that? And I said, well, it's Nianwei Show. Do you know Nianwei? And this gal said, no, I don't, but I won't need this anymore. And you were not going to believe what she did. She gave me back my business card because she couldn't sell a lipstick to me, so she decided she didn't have any use for me. I think that's absolutely crazy. You know, probably even crazier because I wrote a blog post about it. Now, I didn't out anybody. I was very careful to protect the name of the guilty. But the funny thing about this is that, you know, so my blog post was posted, but this was back in the days where the internet was still a little bit wild and woolly, and they were looking, and publishers were looking for content, and the business journals picked it up nationwide.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had this post just splashed across the internet in almost every state. And I did get some phone calls about it. You know, obviously some of congratulation, but three calls, people called to see if I was writing about them. And what you won't believe, Becky, is 2 of these calls were from guys. And I said, did you not read the article? It said a girl working in cosmetics. And they're like, well, you're obviously trying to protect the guilty. So you wrote girl, so it's obviously a guy. And I was all, yeah, thank you, Sherlock. And they said, and you wrote cosmetics, it's obviously computers. Is that me? And I know, I couldn't believe that. And I had to explain that, no, it wasn't you, but why would you do such a thing? And they said, well, if someone's already got a computer guy, why would I want to continue to know them? And it makes me just frustrated that people think that networking is really about either sales or prospecting. both of those things can happen, but networking is the process of creating these relationships and adding value to others. And I explained to both of my dear friends who are computer guys that there could exist a possibility where their current computer guy could retire or move or piss them off or change the focus of the business or do many different things that could result in a future business relationship with this person. Or even if nothing else, there's a possibility of many, many referrals. So there is no reason to treat everyone you meet as a potential prospect, because that puts a lid on the type of relationship that you can have and the type of sharing that you can have. So I think that really is the worst networking mistake ever, is to consider networking a sales transaction. It just is, it's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. Can I ask you, Ronnie, I meant to ask you before we started, is it okay if we have people ask questions along the way?
Absolutely, Becky. Now,
Okay,
I can't see the chat, but you can see it?
No, I can't. Link, can you see it?
When you speak, you come up. Oh, here, I'm muted.
Oh, you know what? Oh, now you are, but now I can see you. Okay.
So now, yeah, so when I speak, I think I come up. Did that work, Becky?
Oh, yeah, no, I unmuted you.
Yeah, okay.
Because I realized Ronnie doesn't like quiet, perfect quiet.
Right.
So, but can you see the chat? Can you see,
Oh.
actually see the chat on the side?
I don't see any chat.
Okay.
Let me
Well-
see if I can see, if I hit more.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any chat, no,
Well, I
unfortunately.
can see it. I had to pull it up. Everybody's saying hi. So does anybody have any questions so far? You know what the worst networking mistake is that you can make. So if you have a question, ask now. And there is a little time delay, so we'll wait just a minute before we have Ronnie continue. Nope. Everybody got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so let's go back to where I started with this process. And I'm sure that some people can relate. When I first started my business as a coach, well, the truth was, Becky, I didn't have any clients. You know, it was really silly. I stopped one business, which was being a marketing consultant, and then I became a marketing coach. And I had been so busy wrapping everything up that I didn't have any clients when I started. So I remember that first Monday morning going into my home office, because in those days I still had a home office, and looking at my perfectly clean desk and my perfectly empty schedule and asking myself, what do I do first? And I did notice, even though I'm a little bit of a neat freak, there was a pile of business cards on my desk. I wonder if anybody out there has a pile of business cards on their desks.
Always.
Everybody.
Everybody. Well, you know, I looked at this pile of business cards and I thought, I know there's something there, but I didn't know what. So I counted them. And that was all I could think of to do at the moment. And it turns out that I had 63 business cards belonging to other people on my desk, people that I had met at various events, but I really didn't know any of these people. And I knew, well, just because my entire life has been about networking in one way or another, I knew that networking is one of the very best ways to get business, but I wasn't sure how that would translate into this stack of business cards. And I thought, gosh, the majority of these people are not people who are in my ideal client category, so I don't know that they have no really reason to buy from me. So it's not like I'm going to cold call them. But I asked myself, what if I could do something for them? Maybe would they refer business to me? And so I thought, well, that would be a good idea. So let me see what I can offer. I mean, I'm not going to offer my services, but I could offer introductions or referrals. So being the introvert that I am, I put together a little script. And you can see back in those days, I call it my Team 100, because my goal was to get 100 referral partners. And so this was the exact script that I used. And you can see on the left column, can you see that, Becky, where it says process on the left?
No, it's too light.
Oh, it is too late.
Yeah,
Oh, darn.
I can see it. I can see it, Ronnie.
Okay.
Okay,
It's showing
thank
up
you,
on
Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I broke it down into very specific parts of a communication model. So I know that's a very sexy way of saying I broke it down into a very persuasive conversation.
Oh, okay.
And so, and you can actually see all of the stuff. There's my homework on the left, and I'm sure that my language and linguistics professor would give me an A for this. Essentially, it's really just a very basic script. And the reason I used a script is because I wanted to stay on target. And I called each and every one of those people, those 63 people whose business cards I had. And the conversation went something like this. So, hey, Becky, this is Ronnie Noize. We met briefly last month at the Women Entrepreneurs event, and I got your card when we talked during the meeting. Is this a good time for a quick chat?
Oh, sure. And I remember you.
Oh,
yes.
Thanks. Well, Becky, I know you're really busy, so I'm going to make this quick. So here's why I'm calling. I have 2 questions for you. First, are you accepting new clients? And second, would you be willing to accept qualified referrals from me?
Well, yeah, I would.
Well, great. How about we get together so that you can teach me how to identify and refer the right prospects to you?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect. Well, and of course, I can also share what makes a good referral for me. Does that sound okay?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, of course.
Great. Thank you. So how about we meet at, and you can see, and this script actually is not the original script. So because I remember my original script says, well, why don't we meet at my home office?
Oh, yeah.
On such and such a day, at such and such a time. And then I thanked them and got off the phone. And then I would send a follow-up email. And that it was some time ago, Becky, but I realized people were not so used to the whole concept of working from home and that home office thing. Because the very first day, the next day, the day after I made the phone call, I had my first meeting. And some guy whose business card I had was knocking on my door. And I answered the door, and he said, well, hello. And he was standing there with a Yeah, I think he misunderstood the nature of our meeting.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you laugh.
Yeah.
Networking tip for guys: dial back the creep factor.
Yeah, I know, really.
That is an excellent tip, Lynn. Thank you. Exactly. So yeah, when someone's invites you to get together, they're not coming on to you. Yeah. So immediately what I learned was that I have to be super clear. So obviously I'm real clear on my script, and I immediately also started meeting people in public places. And I discovered, Clint mentioned earlier a coffee meeting. I discovered a couple things about this. Is number one, it's always great to meet at a coffee shop. And the reason for that is we like people. We feel a closer relationship to people that we will eat or drink with. But the problem with calling it a coffee meeting per se is that there is social obligation for giving and receiving food or drink. And so I like to say, let's meet at Starbucks for our networking meeting. And that way, no one expects me to buy them coffee. I don't expect them to buy me coffee. And the relationship parameters are set at a very professional level. So
that makes total sense.
Yeah, because it can be weird because when you're calling total strangers, not everybody is with the program. So
right.
So I started these meetings, and what I discovered was I didn't want the meetings to go too long. A lot of times people say, "Gosh, these meetings went on for hours." Well, I didn't have that kind of time, and also I made a lot of appointments. But actually, the first thing that I learned was that a half an hour was plenty for an initial meeting. The second thing I learned was even though the meeting only takes a half an hour, you need to schedule a full hour for each meeting. And the reason for that, Becky, is sometimes somebody would be late or they would be late leaving our meeting. And if I had someone else there waiting to meet with me, it could get really awkward really quickly and I could lose control of that meeting. So,
right.
Yeah, so I scheduled my meetings on the hour, and then that gave me a little half-hour cushion in between the meetings, so in case my meeting ran long or in case I needed to go wash my hands or get another cup of coffee, whatever it was, so I could be completely prepared and ready for each meeting. Now, speaking of preparation, one of the things that I did was create a note sheet because I didn't want to rely on my memory for all the things that I learned about people. And also, I wanted to be able to organize just the most important things. Now, people usually came loaded for bear. They came with their business cards and their brochures and their sales kits and so on and so forth.
Oh, wait a minute.
What in the world is that?
Apparently, a disco has joined us.
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. I think I muted him. So
Okay, so Elvis has left the building.
yeah.
Okay, so what I realized is that in order to refer confidently, that I needed to gather some very specific information. And you can see a little image of my Power Partners notes sheet. And as a matter of fact, this sheet is available for free on my website, which is DIYmarketingcenter.com, under free stuff and networking tools. Yeah, and so essentially, I just made some notes about the date, time, and place of the meeting, who I was meeting with, what business category they were in. So for example, it could be, the business category might be mortgages. And then I would ask them essentially 3 important questions. Number 1 is, what do you do? And people would tell me what they did, and I would just take a few notes. Now, something else I want to mention. So I pulled out this note sheet for every meeting that I had, and I always ask permission to take notes. And this is going to become obvious why later, but it's just a polite thing to do. I didn't want people to think that I was scamming them or anything. So I was like, do you mind if I take notes? So I take some notes. I ask people what they do, and I take a few notes. And it's nice. The funniest thing was I met a lot of people who couldn't tell me what they did. They didn't have an elevator speech, and they said it's hard to explain. And I thought, I didn't say luckily, but I thought, is that because you're stupid or because you think I am? Okay, I feel a little bad about that, but still, I mean, if we do something for a living, we should be able to say it really quickly and succinctly. So then I would ask, who is the ideal referral for you? And I can't tell you how often, Becky, I heard someone say, well, pretty much anybody with a pulse and a checkbook.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, you guys have heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's really crazy is that even some people said, you know what, I can sell to anybody. And, no doubt they can try to sell to everybody, but the truth is nobody on earth, especially these days, now that easy credit is a thing of the past. I mean, after 2008, people couldn't afford stuff because a lot of us had a different type of relationship with money after 2008. But these were the days before, and people were spending money like drunken sailors. And so a lot of times people told me, I can sell to anybody that you put in front of me. And the truth is, not everybody has an unlimited budget. However, at certain times of our life, we prioritize certain expenditures, things that make sense for our health, for our business, for our family, etc. But we don't buy everything we want every month. Gosh, I wonder if even Bill Gates can do that. But anyway, so what I want to know is, who's that perfect referral? Who is motivated, ready, willing, and able to buy from you right now? Who's got a reason? And then the next thing I ask is, how will I recognize the need for your services? And this is really important. People need to understand that their prospects are walking around out there all the time, walking and talking and telling other people that they need your services. You just have to know how to tell people to listen. And then finally, I would ask, what's the best way to refer clients? And this I learned really quickly, is it could get extremely complicated. There were some people who asked me to fill out a client form and to send something in, and then to, just unbelievable stuff.
Can you be my unpaid sales rep? Yes.
Yes. Well, and even more than that, Lynn, can you be my unpaid secretary?
Yeah.
Form a triplicate, fax me one form, call the messenger to pick up these other documents. You're kidding me. It was pretty crazy. But finally I would get through the meeting. And usually this took about 24 minutes to get through. Hi, glad you came. Have a seat. Shall we get started? Do you mind if I take notes? From that moment to at this point, when I would repeat back everything, but we still have 6 minutes and I've not yet taught them to refer to me. Luckily, I know exactly what the questions are, so I had prepared answers. I would hand them my business card And I would say, as you know, I'm a marketing coach. I'm in the marketing services category, and I help small businesses attract more clients. A good referral for me is a small office, home office practitioner, such as maybe an independent insurance rep or a chiropractor. And you'll know it's time to refer when you hear them say one of two things. Number one, I love what I do, but I hate to market. Or number two, this economy is killing my business. Now, when you hear that, simply introduce us by email, and I will take it from there. And they wouldn't write down very much, but the important things they could get down. And that person was then absolutely qualified to refer to me. They knew everything they needed to know. Now, here is a problem that most people have in these meetings. They think they need to talk and 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 talk. And I got to tell you, the more you talk, the less people hear. So you want to be very clear, very succinct about exactly who it is you want to work with, how to recognize them, and what to do once you do recognize them. And once you can get those things down, boom, it is like magic. So let me tell you about my magical results the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 weeks, 24 meetings, and nothing. And my question to myself was, what in the world am I doing wrong? And I thought about this. So the first thing is I reviewed the steps. Okay, so I would connect with people at meetings, which is pretty much how I would usually get the business cards.
Right.
Actually, this I had a big stack at this point. Then step 2, I would set up these one-on-one meetings so we could teach each other how to recognize and refer qualified prospects. And it occurred to me there aren't very many two-step processes. What in the world is that third step? And it took me a while, Becky. I had to think about it. And then I finally realized that I needed to be doing this. I needed to be referring before I could expect people could refer to me. And that changed the way I network. As a matter of fact, what that means is instead of going to a networking meeting, listening for people who might be saying something that indicated that they could possibly use my services, I started listening for what people were either bragging about or complaining, celebrating or commiserating. I wanted to know how I could help every person in the room. Can I introduce you to someone? Can I refer someone to you? And once I came at relationships from that perspective of service, once my primary question became, how can I help you, without selling to you, then all of a sudden it was amazing. And the thing that I started was a introduction by email. And so here's what I did. I would send an email to both people, and I would introduce my referral partner, so Becky, you as being as an expert, and the person I was referring to you as someone who had questions about your area of expertise. I would include the contact information for both people, and then I would leave follow-up in their hands. And I discovered this was the most powerful way to introduce people, because how often have you heard someone say, oh yeah, I've referred 400 people to you. Has anybody called? Yeah.
Oh, when I used to belong to another leads group organization.
And Ronnie, this is still the best method. It's one I use when we teach in the B2B groups. I hate it when somebody says, I've got somebody to refer to you, and they call them up on the phone and hand it to me. It's like putting your 3-year-old on the phone with grandpa.
Oh, I know.
It makes everybody uncomfortable. The email, the method you show here is the absolute best way to introduce people.
Absolutely, I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think so too. And because the value of this is that they've got each other's contact information and what you've shown to the person that you are referring to. So your referral partner is, I respect you, and I think you're going to do right by people I send to you. And what you're telling to the referred person is, I care about you and I want to help you solve your problem, and I know someone who can do that. And it's incredibly powerful. Those people who are on the receiving end of this feel pretty darn good, not only about each other, but about you. And I think that is super powerful. And you will also find, though, every once in a while, you'll have a person in your network who doesn't respond to these emails, who doesn't bother to say thank you, or doesn't bother to ask that person how they can help. And that's someone I'm not going to be referring to very much in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have to be referable.
Yeah.
They've self-screened themselves, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they will.
Well, before you get there, can we just see if there are any questions so far? I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of information, and Tim Hare's such a wise guy. He says, because back when you were talking about the IT people, he says, "Oh, I'm an IT guy. You're talking about me."
Oh no, Tim, that was you. Sorry.
I know.
I didn't mean to out you.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle asked, "Will the transcript of the presentation be available?" No. There will be a replay, but it won't be transcript-wise. It just be a replay. However, Ronnie puts on workshops every month if you're in the area and want to go hear her.
Well, yes, I certainly do. If you happen to be in the
Yes.
Portland, Vancouver area,
Yeah,
every month on the second Friday.
absolutely. So, but good question. Oh, is that me? Is that you, Lynn?
No, not me.
Ronnie, somebody
Not
else?
me.
Oh, okay.
It's not my cat.
It's not me. Oh, Karen. Oh, no, Karen's. Okay, Karen muted herself. Karen came on. So, very good. So thank you, Michelle. So, MMMS asks, what is your email again? I don't think anybody shared their email address. Did you, Ronnie?
No, I didn't. But my website is DIYmarketingcenter.com.
Yeah, and I put that out there on the chat. So,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Great. So you ready to get back to it?
Yeah, sure.
So here's what. So this became my go-to referral process, and let me share the results. So I networked for 6 weeks, and I had over 70 meetings.
70. Now listen to this, people. That, because I know people who will go do 4 or 5 of these and say that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
70 meetings. Yeah.
Well, in my first 24, I got nothing out of until later.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, but keep in mind, Becky, I didn't have any business. I didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And my biggest regret about this time, that I really wish that I Take the Lead would have existed, because I think that would have really helped me shortcut this. And I'll tell you why. Because I called, the original 63 people I called were not always the right type of people for me to call. They weren't really natural power partners. They just happened to be random people that I'd met. And many of them worked for big companies, and many of them simply were not what I would call power partners, people who were in complementary businesses who could share referrals with me. So yeah, I worked harder than I had to, but I didn't have anything else to do. So I took, and I went to several networking meetings during that 6 weeks to get more cards. So I did have over 70 meetings. I gave over 75 referrals, and I received 48 referrals.
Wow.
Yeah, not every referral was great. But I did end up with 29 new clients, which was fantastic.
Oh, that's fabulous. Absolutely.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It was really great. And some of the people who were referred earlier
Oh, that's
ended up becoming clients later. But I thought this was pretty darn good. And just for those people who are wondering, the average client value was $325 per month.
wow.
So
wow.
it was huge. It was fantastic. I was really, really thrilled. So I want to just kind of go over this process a little bit again, Becky, just to kind of clarify. So when I teach people how to do this process, there are really 4 steps to go through. And the number one thing is, I say networking or leads meetings. Networking meetings are okay. Leads meetings, though, are where you need to go if you're building your business. And the best leads organization I know is I Take the Lead. And I know it sounds goofy because we're on an I Take the Lead webinar, and you and I are personal friends. But still, even if I didn't know you from Adam, Becky, this is how leads meetings is the number one way to build your business through networking. Absolutely.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah.
And then the step number 2 is to put together power partner meetings. Find people that you can refer to with confidence, then you think they can also refer to you, and then set that up. The third step is to actively refer. And I love referring by email because it gives me a record of who I've referred and when and to whom. And finally, stay in touch. And that's another reason I love leads meetings is when you're seeing people over and over again, week in, week out, and getting to know them, as well as taking advantage of some of the other like mixers you have, then you really expand your circle of acquaintance and you make a great reputation for yourself. People know you, like you, and trust you, and they feel better about referring to you. And so that is the very simple networking process. I want to share some of the lessons I learned during my entire process of these meetings. Number one was to stay on top of the meeting by being prepared. And that meant for me always having that little note sheet. And I took 2 note sheets so that not only could I fill out one for me, but I could hand a blank one to the other person that I was meeting with. And that way they could be taught because they would be writing things down. And remember earlier when I said I asked permission to take notes? That set up an expectation. And so when it was their turn to hear from me, I would hand them the sheet of paper and I would ask them if they wanted to borrow my pen. And since they'd already seen me taking notes, most of them would be shamed into it, so they would take the pen. But the really cool thing about that is when they wrote these key ideas down, they actually remembered them better. And so that worked really well. The second thing, of course, actually this should have been the first thing, was I learned to have these meetings in a public place. I also learned that having meetings over coffee worked really well, coffee or tea. However, having a lunch meeting really upset the balance of the meeting, and also they took way too long, and there became these weird social obligations. Are we personal friends now? So what's going on there? So I strongly recommend meeting at a Starbucks or at another coffee shop. And that brings me to the last big lesson learned, which is if you're going to stack meetings up like I did, drink decaf. For goodness sakes. Most of us get a little crazy on too much caffeine. And if you want to sleep at night, I strongly recommend focusing on the decaf. So that is my story. I'm happy to answer absolutely any question that you have. And I have 2 more things to say, though. Number one is that this Zig Ziglar quote, you can have anything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want, is so absolutely true. I love this. You can help people get what they want through networking. And I think this is an absolutely brilliant statement. And it's been inspirational to me since I started my business. And this is absolutely my networking philosophy. And finally, I just wanted to mention that I do have a small special. I'm calling it your endless referral machine. It's only $497. Here is the link that takes you directly to my Square store. And this is a special of 3 private coaching sessions plus a ton of materials and extras, including 4 webinars to create your own endless referral machine. That's just $497. And of course, as Becky mentioned earlier, my networking training happens the 2nd Friday of every month in the Portland, Oregon area here in Vancouver. Networking for newbies, next level networking, and superpowered networking.
Oh, very nice.
That's those. And so here is this again.
Okay, so I think it's tiny.cc/YERM. Okay, because I put it in the chat. Okay.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Becky. So I should stop the share now?
Sure. Or just leave it there. It doesn't matter because we're going to be asking you questions. So I want to mention, Lynn, are you back? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick thing. A lot of people get worried about this whole thing about giving leads. Realize you're just introducing people. Don't try to overqualify a lead. It might be these 2 people dance in their part-time, or these 2 people like horses and they're in business. That might be enough to make an introduction. But you want to connect people. It's about, don't be stingy. Help people meet each other. That's what it's all about.
Oh, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, I muted everybody. You're muted. If you don't see it now, you should be able to see the chat on the side. It should be on my right side. On the right side. And Tim Hare, but if you don't, and you have if you have a need to ask a question and you have a mic, then go ahead and unmute yourself. But right now, I'm going to mention, Tim Hare said, when I refer someone to a current client, I feel like I don't want to put them on the spot. Is it okay in that situation to do a one-sided intro, give them the contact info and let them decide whether they want to follow up? And then Lynn said, sometimes that's the only way, it's a judgment call. But I want to mention, because Ronnie does this all the time. She refers people to me. She just does an introduction. It's not putting anybody on the spot. And I can't always help people, but it's someone who's maybe looking for a leads group or wants some more information about networking or whatever. And she just does an introduction. It's just a very easygoing way of introducing people. And actually several people have joined I Take the Lead because of her introductions. But some people they didn't have any interest in this. We had she introduced me to someone in Florida who actually is franchising. So he was kind of curious about what we were doing. He asked me some questions and I answered him. So I was a resource for him. So does that answer your question, Tim? Where's Tim at? I don't even know if he's still here.
Yeah, Becky, I think you're absolutely right. A lot of times we think that we're trying to give somebody a lead. And I suggest it's more about a referral. When you introduce someone who's got questions about a topic to someone who's an expert, then that allows both of them sort of an out. So you don't have to vouch for anybody. You don't have to guarantee anything. They can create their own relationship and there's really no pressure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and then Elise asked a question. Did you meet any resistance when you talked about networking? Often people cringe when they hear networking.
Is that for me?
Yeah.
You think? Gosh, no.
I think perhaps Elise is confusing networking with networking marketing.
Network marketing.
Marketing.
I typically don't talk to people about let's get together and do some networking, because usually that means someone wants access to my Rolodex. So they want to know who they can call, who do I know that can help them.
Did that answer your question, Elise? Or
yeah.
We can't hear you. So you might be muted. No, you're not muted. You don't have a mic. So can you can you explain more in detail? Yeah, we can't hear you. Yeah.
I would say the more networking you do, the better you get at it, the more relaxed it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, you can be a little nervous, and sometimes you will have somebody that you're working with to say, I don't want to send anybody my way. In that case, give them a card, say, call them when you're ready. But, people are not, the more relaxed you are, you're just trying to help people. And they realize that you're not trying to sell them things. Right.
And then also when I do my phone calls, when I meet someone at a meeting and I think, gosh, this person's going to be a great power partner, then I'll call them and I never say, do you want to do some networking? I ask them the two important questions are you accepting new clients? Because if you are, would you be willing to accept qualified referrals from me? And if that is the case, then why don't we get together and work on this? And if they're not accepting new clients, great. Is there someone you can recommend who does what you do?
Right. So Alan, thanks, Alan. And you can unmute yourself, Alan said, to chip in on Tim's question, from personal experience as a loan originator, I occasionally advise my borrowers that I will have an agent reach out to them. In that situation, I can put the borrower's mind at great ease by saying, Jane and I worked very efficiently in the past. I think she would be a great resource. Then I'll have the agent reach out to my borrower, which is good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great strategy.
And I will say, because I know whenever Ronnie refers to me, she always builds me up. She always has something nice to say, and if she's referring to me as the expert, I'll say that as well. So
as the queen of all time, space, and dimension of networking, or rather, empress. Sorry, empress.
See, Becky does the same thing for me. She always is sure to say, he's never been convicted.
Yeah.
And that really is big in my industry.
We tell everybody what you do, Lynn.
A chainsaw sculpture.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm really good at it.
Oh, you're funny. So Elise, did we answer your question? Okay.
If you mean my
I
question,
don't. Oh, Tim?
yeah.
No, Elise.
Oh,
Elise Stoner. I wasn't sure if we answered her question okay. She had asked if she got, oh, not really, but I appreciate the conversation. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, so
Yeah.
Elise, can you clarify for us? Can we hand you the mic?
We could, her mic isn't working for some reason. Yeah.
Oh no,
No,
still can't hear you.
Yeah.
Darn.
Sorry. Because she's unmuted. Yeah. But I think I understand where Elise is coming from. Like if you said we met networking, or when you ask for the appointment, but I don't even know if you mentioned networking when you do that, Ronnie.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't think it's necessary. Because I really focus on the outcome of the meeting and what I'm looking to contribute and what they're looking to contribute.
Yeah, it can be as easy as saying, would you like to connect and let's see if we can work with each other. If we can help each other out, I'd like to learn more about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worried about saying the N word, do that.
Well, and very often I think the ideal power partner is, and the person to do these types of meetings with, is the person who shares the same client you do. Maybe they work with your client base before, during, or after yours. And it could be as simple as saying, hey, I noticed we both work with homeowners, and I was wondering if maybe we could chat about referring back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So Elise said, yeah, it's not about the appointment, it's about using the network to help others. Exactly. Well, at least we're actually part of I Take the Lead, which is a big organization, and that's exactly what everybody in the group is doing. So there's a purpose, but I think I understand. I think most of us understand where you're coming from. I will mention, however, Ronnie and I were at a meeting years ago. It was at her office, and it was Think Local First or something like that. And I met Ronnie there. I got her business card, and I called her up and I said, I met you. I really like your business card. I would love to go and have tea or coffee with you. Would you mind? And we did. It took us, we both have hugely full schedules. It took us a few months, but we finally did meet. And our relationship has just gone uphill from there because I recognize that we were power partners. Our clients are very often the same clients, and then we are able to easily refer to each other. So that was an easy way to do this.
That's absolutely the best way to start. And you think about who's calling on the same clients. Like if I go and see a client, if I can save them money, great. I'll say, is there anybody else you'd like to talk to? You're looking at saving money. How about these services? I can throw out a few like insurance, telecom, etc., because they're kind of natural power partners. So those are the type of people I meet because I need them. When I go through the door, I want to be more than a sales rep, selling my little service. I want to be able to say, how else can I help you? That's how you stand above all the other salespeople. So it's a natural outlet to do that. So concentrate on who's calling on the same people and just try to build relationships with them and then take it out from there. And it's basically saying, I need somebody in what you do to refer to my clients to help them out so they don't get ripped off.
Absolutely. Do you have anything to add, Alan? I unmuted you.
I saw that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's all been really, really, really good information. So, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Well, I'll tell you, Ronnie has been, she's gone to Colorado and taught this specific system. She's gone up to Seattle and taught this specific system back when she had more time. It is very powerful. I've watched members use it, and sometimes they veer off and don't use it exactly, but she's got the information on her website to use it. if you are in Seattle or in the Portland area, I highly recommend taking her workshops. I just can't stress enough. It's $25 to the general public for like a two-hour chock-full network. If you happen to be a member of I Take the Lead, I can get you in for free. So I highly recommend it.
The only place it did work was Las Vegas because you can't talk about meetings in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. Bad networking.
There's a reason we invite Lynn on these. But so does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask?
I don't have a question, but I do want to throw out there the networking system. You know, when you're taking notes, I can, personally vouch that is a very effective system when I'm trying to set up meetings with real estate agents and anyone else. I actually try to keep it to 20 minutes, and that way, in my email, I'll send in my email, hey, do you have 20 minutes to meet over coffee? And because that 30 minutes kind of, to me, the experience I've had is that 30 minutes might be a little too long. That extra 10 minutes might be just enough to get them to commit to an appointment. And I keep that meeting on point with that interview card.
With the 20 minutes. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great, Alan. And as a matter of fact, the thing that I've noticed that works even better is when you ask them for 17 minutes.
All right.
They say,
Oh, really?
yeah, 17. They're like, yeah, it's a short, powerful process, and we can get through it in 17 minutes. So if you can take an extra 2 minutes for your afternoon break, we can make this happen. And people get really excited about that.
But I always say we need an extra 3 minutes if you drink decaf. So make sure they realize that.
And I want to point out that the key is Ronnie teaches people what to listen for.
Yeah.
And that's what I take the lead. That's what we pride ourselves on is training people, because it's not about going to meetings and just, well, I passed so-and-so your business card. Did they call you yet? It's everybody's job to teach everybody else how to refer to them. Oh, MMMS, I have no idea who that is. I'll have to figure that one out. But they said, will this work with phone meetings? When will you be coming to Seattle to do a workshop?
Yes, it works with phone meetings. And Becky, let's talk about going to Seattle to do a workshop.
We'll see. That's funny. Oh, okay. Alan says, I muted him and he still wrote it. He said it absolutely works with phone meetings. If I can't get an agent to commit to an in-person appointment, this works fantastically over the phone. Absolutely. I can totally see that. And now, good gosh, we've got webinar, Skype. And I wanted to mention two things. Number one, it's so smart not to do the dinner or the lunch, because that can really add up very quickly, and people would be resistant. And the other thing is, Ronnie, I don't know what your feeling is on this, but I know when I do the new member orientations, I train people that they need to expect to give, and I just said it today in the meeting, give 4 leads for every one they receive. It doesn't mean it's going to be to the same person. Hi, Karen McLean. If Karen gives me a lead, that doesn't mean I'm going to give all 4 to Karen, but to someone in the group. I'm going to be expecting of myself to be passing 4 leads for everyone I'm receiving. And this system absolutely helps with that. So thank you so much.
It's also a way of doing business. It's a long game. This is you're changing the way you're doing business in absorbing this type of system.
Exactly.
You're not doing
relational,
it
not slash and burn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Well, we are right at 4. I know Ronnie's got a full schedule. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you again, Ronnie. I just absolutely love you, and you know that.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Lynn. I knew Clint was going to be off early. He let me know that he had another meeting he had to get to. Thank you, Alan, for being here, and thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. You will be getting a replay either today or sometime tomorrow. There were a lot of people registered knowing that they couldn't be on here. But I want to thank everybody, and I am going to end this. if I could figure that out. So thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.